There we go. So here we are again. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, this is so fun. I'm really enjoying being able to have these conversations that continue and being able to share them with people a little bit at a time and segment them. And the segment we were up to and where we left off was, I love this beautiful image that you used of the stream, and that we think of things coming from our parents, from upstream down to us, but that we can actually reverse the direction. And I'd love to start with that.
Okay, great. So what I was meaning was that parents are obligated to love, care, nurture their children.
Yeah.
The reverse isn't true. You don't have, when the river flows down, parents are obligated to care for their children. Children are not obligated to care for their parents. The river doesn't flow up the stream. But sometimes what happens is a parent isn't able to give a child exactly what they need. So you might have a child who takes on a role that he or she is too young for. So they are 5 and they notice, well, mom's also 5. That's not so good. I'm taking on a role to care for my parent or help my parent, and I'm being well rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens later in life is where that balance does shift. As adult children sometimes need to take care of their parents, and you were mentioning your mother in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And as she becomes older, she might feel she's in control of less and less, which she's too afraid to give words to. So her kitchen, when she tells you, Leah, you're not doing what I want in my kitchen, it's mine, it might be a grasping of hers onto something where she knows, I can still be in control here. Mm-hmm. This is my domain.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I think that it's, as you described that, I'm imagining somebody, it's a way of being able to see the other person in what their hero journey is instead of the one that we're in. So we see the other person as the obstacle for what we need, but we're missing the idea that maybe we're the Gandalf,
or maybe they're the gift for what we need.
Right. And that's possible. But I think it also comes back to feelings of authority and hierarchy and leadership that are cultivated within us quite young. And I think you tapped into something around there. Is that something you could start to speak to? Start us off in that direction?
Yeah. Terry Real talks about us, being in a very patriarchal community, society, which is very binary. There's male and there's female. Mm-hmm. But within that, there's a hierarchy, which male is sort of dominant, and often female, we say strength, independence are sort of thought of as male qualities, which we think of highly, and female qualities of love and nurturing and hysteria are not given so many accolades. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, if we could change that hierarchy into a relational space where I look at you eye to eye, I'm not better than, mm-hmm. and I'm not worse off. Mm-hmm. If we could change the need for me to control, and very often you see in relationships, especially in parental relationships, but as one sees your child become the adult, there can be more of that eye to eye emphasizing of the relationship.
It's very interesting. What comes to mind when you say that, though, are people that I've talked with who, as the child kind of comes in, the parent responds in ways, reacts to feeling threatened because they've identified with this sense of control or knowing more or better with being the parent or with their leadership. And the idea that their child in their business might be able to do more, know more, have different ideas, have new suggestions. And as parents are aging, the idea that they might need their child's support or help in some kind of a way is a real shifting of this. And it's very difficult. What makes it so difficult for some people to accept those shifts? Or I think it's because, I think it's part of what you're saying is that we're seeing it within the hierarchical structure instead of within relationship. And so then it's difficult because there's a sense of identity that's been invested in that hierarchical structure.
Right. And I think what you said, you asked the question, and I think that is beautiful. Why is this so challenging?
Yeah.
because it is challenging for me to now become dependent on my child. But can we give that a space to say to the child, I still need a certain amount of dignity for myself, as well as help from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking of, I was telling you that my father-in-law has moved in with us. He's 91, and he's not expected to do all the things that get so easily done today online.
Mm-hmm.
So within his ability to sit at a table with us and eat by himself and say what he'd like, there is, I will do for you whatever needs to be done on the computer. So if we could merge that in a respectful way, it's too difficult to learn that right now, in his case.
Yeah. What comes up for me listening to you is that both when it's dealing with our children or dealing with our parents or dealing with other people, how do we start to feel like we have a voice without becoming overpowering? And how do we help create a sense of autonomy in the other person? Because that's what you're describing, is you're still giving him some autonomy, even though he's living there. So and that's where I think the dignity often lies. The dignity lies that I still have some autonomy. I still have some things I can do for myself. I have choices. And that's what we're wanting to do through these conversations, to help people realize you have choices when it comes to your relationship with other people, when it comes to relationship with your parents, when it comes to the way you relate in the world. You have one operating system right now. And if you shift that operating system, you can change the way things will be in the world for you. But what you're talking about is that we can do that while creating a sense of autonomy for others. That's one of the big shifts in that operating system, is the idea that I can be in charge, but I don't need to be in control of controlling others in order to be in control.
Right.
Or I can be.
Or I would like to say, I can help you if that's okay with you. I don't want to give him autonomy. He has autonomy, but there's certain areas.
Yes.
That I'm not expecting him to now open the rule book, because he doesn't have that interest. You know, and he comes from a world where he would pick up a phone and speak to someone. Right. We don't necessarily live in that world all the time. So much is, and that's fortunate. We can do things that much more quickly without standing in a line, right? So, and it just says that both and, you know.
But where I see parents and people afraid to give autonomy to their children, and where they have control, is the fear of letting go. And giving autonomy means you will feel less in control. The immediate feeling is that you feel less in control, but ultimately there's a lot more that you can control, because other people are taking care of things that they need to take care of and can't take care of. Because you're familiar with the pattern where somebody says, why do I have to be the one who does everything around here? It's usually because you already do. And so everyone knows it, expects it, and you've helped create that pattern, which you don't want to think about because you feel like you shouldn't have to be the one who's doing it. And that's a great moment to realize that there is a way to change that. You might not be able to do it on your own, but there is a way to change that. And it's the same with your parents. When you have a solution for them, but you need to do this because it's going to be safer for you, they're really their life still. And they're not going to necessarily follow that exact thing that you say, nor do you want their life to depend on the things that you say. You don't really want that. What you really want is them to be able to make better decisions for themselves. So how do you set up a conversation that helps them find those better answers for themselves? And
I like the fact that you said recognizing even with ourselves, right? I might have given you the example of the computer, but there's certain things that I can't do that I need to ask for help at my age and even younger. We always need each other. We're so interconnected. Yeah. And that is the beauty of relationship, that we create much more together than we can by ourselves. And it's not a weakness to say, can you help me, please?
Right. Yeah. So I realized we didn't do this in our previous conversations, but really should. Where can people find you if they want to pursue this conversation with you a little bit more?
Well, they can find me on my website, www.bev.co.il, Bev Coyle, and on Facebook. And they could always DM me. And on my website, they can always download some free video material if they'd like. And lots and lots of blogs. What about you? Where can people find you?
I want to invite people to follow me on LinkedIn. My website is a good place. There are some things there, but LinkedIn is really the place where I'm the most active and where I put my content and where I share any workshops I'm doing or any freebies that I'm offering.
Okay, so we'll be putting this series on LinkedIn too.
Yes, and so people following can hear, and we can put in the comments any other follow-ups.
Right, perfect.
Well,
This was lovely.
Close this conversation in this series, and
we will do this again.
And yes, I love doing it this way. Let's do it again. Okay.